Thomas the Tank Engine in Friends is known and loved for the cute rainbow-colored talking trains. But many people, humans, also live on the island of Sodor. Humans that the engines know well and have great relationships with. People the engines respect and love. And by extension, we, the audience, begin to know and love. Fans of Thomas and Friends often describe Sir Topham Hatt as the father figure of the engines on his railway. On the surface, this is true. But at the end of the day, he is still their boss. He is still the Fat Controller. But one person can override Topham's wishes. And that is his mother. Dirty Percy 6 here, using my psychological education for the good of humanity by producing video essays analyzing fictional characters in children's TV shows because I don't want to feel the feelings I feel about myself for struggling in school anymore. Subscribe if you also like to distract yourself from your emotions by watching children's shows and then talking about them with other people as if you're a high school English teacher. Please? Now, the original title of this video was The Legendary Lady Dowager Hatt. There are only a few recurring human characters, and Dowager Hat is one of the best.
This isn't fun.
I soon realized that if I posted this video and I didn't call it Dowager Hat's Busy Video, I would get roasted. So hard. So here is Dowager Hat's Busy Video. Let's get busy analyzing Dowager Hat.
Yeah, that? Ha ha! Awful.
Dowager Hat is a caricature of an old rich lady. She is a little intimidating. She can be stern and impatient, but above all else, she absolutely adores and loves her son. But she's still his mother, so she still manages to embarrass him on occasion. In her first appearance of the series, Season 5's Gordon and the Gremlin, she is referred to as a VIP throughout the episode. I was going to go into this whole spiel about Thomas taking her to Wellsworth, then Kirk Ronan, and then the trip they made, basically. But you know what? So many other creators have already made that point. It's kind of redundant for me to do it. Anyway, the dog gets scared by Gordon's whistle, then a bull in the field, and then it runs into Thomas's cab. So Thomas takes the dog, Topham, and his special visitor back to Brenham Docks. The dog is renamed Gremlin, and then Thomas finally pipes up and asks who the VIP is. It is revealed that the person that Topham wanted to impress to the point of preemptively chewing out Gordon for something completely outside of his realm of control was his mother. I guess we all want to impress our parents. At this point, we have learned nothing about her as a person, but we see how she affects her son.
And my mother, of course, is always right.
After a couple of quick cameos in Season 6, we see her again in Season 9. Wow, I could have sworn she got more developed in the classic series. Like, I thought she came around in Season 6 a couple more times and then was more established and kept appearing in the Hit era. But no, the choice to bring her back as a character was made during the Hit era. That's pretty cool. Oh my god. This was Sharon Miller's first episode. Ha! Thomas and the birthday picnic. Sir Topham asks Thomas to take him, Lady Hat, and his mother out for a picnic. Okay, that's a pretty standard Thomas episode for Season 9. Thomas offers to take them to Shen Valley, and when they get there, the fields are all muddy because they have just been plowed. Thomas takes them to Callan Castle, but the castle is also closed for repairs. So they leave there, and Thomas isn't able to think of anything else, so he starts running faster and faster. Because for some reason, I don't know, does running stimulate your mind? I thought it was supposed to quiet it. Anyway, this scene's pretty funny. Like, her hat falls off. But I don't understand why Sir Topham couldn't just, make a plan for his mother's birthday before having Thomas take them out. I definitely just kicked the leg of the table. That hurt. Like, that was my little pinky toe, and it hit the corner of the leg, and it's, like, metal, and... This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Worse than the 2 back surgeries I've had. Worse than being paralyzed for 6 months. Worse than being in a car accident at 12. Worse than getting hit by a pickup truck a couple years ago. Worse than Misty Island rescue. Stubbing my toe on this metal corner of the table is the worst thing that has ever happened to me. So Topham tells Thomas to go back to Knapford Station, and his mother wants to go home. So they return to the station and disembark. Also, note, Dowager Hat still has not spoken. And then Thomas goes to the sheds and realizes that he left the station before the cake could be unloaded from the train. Percy's blocked whistle and the engine's bickering about the best way to unblock it gives Thomas an idea that is actually feasible to execute. The engines come together and play the carol of the birthday whistles for the Dowager Hat's birthday. Her only line in the episode is when she says this was the best birthday present ever. And can we for a moment appreciate the fact that this best birthday present ever was deafness? Okay, so I just rewatched the episode in both the US and UK dubs, and I am shocked to learn that the line is actually, this is the best birthday picnic ever. Yeah, but still, the engine still deafened her, Like, this observation just isn't as funny now. In the US dub, Dowager Hat is referred to as
Sir Topham Hatt's mother, 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 Sir Topham Hatt's mother.
We still know nothing about her at this point.
Aberforth.
We don't see Dowager Hat again until season 11, Percy and the Baggage. This is a Percy episode that follows the procrastinates and has to rush to get the job done before it's too late 3 strikes hybrid formula. Also, this.
Sir Topham Hatt's mother's bags. Sir Topham Hatt's mother's bags. Sir Topham Hatt's mother's bags. Sir Topham Hatt's mother's bags.
Her only line is, "You're a very reliable engine." Percy loved that. And Sir Topham thanked Percy. Percy loved that. And we have still not learned anything. For the US dub, Dowager Hat is referred to as Sir Topham Hatt's mother in the entire model series. Every appearance, they do not say Dowager Hat. While this is likely not the intent, it makes her more of a presence than an actual character. Looming in the background of the presence of Sir Topham, clearly much more powerful and refined, but restrained and dignified.
Dingy fried.
Keeping the character of Dowager Hat somewhat vague, but making it known that she exists as a person, means they didn't have to flesh out her character. She could have simple dialogue, and it would be meaningful and impactful because of who she is. The title of Sir Topham Hatt's mother tells you exactly who Dowager Hat is and where she stands, and where she should stand with you. This approach to her character allowed the CGI series to take the character concept and run in a completely different direction with it, without it seeming like she was out of character by doing so. So, let's see what CGI has to offer.
Come on, Thomas.
In Percy's parcel in season 13, Sir Topham gives Percy the most important special of all, his mother's birthday present, who is still only referred to as Sir Topham Hatt's mother throughout the episode. But we get the most dialogue from her so far in the entire series.
Oh my, Bertram! What a wonderful surprise! I'm very happy!
And this is also the first time in the series that Topham is referred to as Bertram. Season 14's Jitters and Japes is the first time that Dowager Hat is ever referred to as such in the US dub. In the dumb little intro that the Hit and Nitrogen era was plagued with, we actually learn that Dowager Hat is very proud of her son, and this is the first thing we directly learn about her as a person. Topham reminds Thomas that Dowager Hat is an older person. And then Thomas asks Toby what he thinks Dowager Hat would like to do, because Toby is also old. Thomas takes Dowager Hat to Misty Island and tries Toby's suggestions of moving slowly and enjoying the sights. But the mist is down, and Dowager Hat gets bored.
This isn't fun, Thomas! Stop now!
But can you blame her? Imagine how many train rides she's had in her life. Of course she's bored with a slow train ride through the fog. But she also calls out Thomas for assuming that he knew what she would want after he expresses to her that he made a mistake, and he admits that he made a mistake. But this is unusual for Thomas' episode. They usually get some kind of reassurance from Sir Topham after admitting to their mistakes, and then they are asked to correct the problem. But not from Dowager Hat. She just calls him out for thinking that way to begin with, and doesn't express any sympathy to him. Clearly, she and Topham have different views on parenting. Also, the look Dowager Hat gives to Thomas right here, like, the sheer disappointment and, like, rage behind it is, wow. Like, poor Thomas, seriously, I'd feel pretty terrible being on the receiving end of that too. Like, Jesus.
Shake, shake, make me quake, make me quake until I shake.
Oh, I guess it's all good now. So we know Dowager Hat likes to go fast. She's a lady who appreciates novelty. This is something that is consistently played into throughout the rest of the series.
This isn't fun!
We see Dowager Hat again in Gordon and Ferdinand, of all episodes. People seem impressed with Ferdinand throughout the whole episode, though, and Ferdinand is thrilled. Maybe it's because of his obviously American appearance, or, more likely, because he's a geared steam engine. Those are fascinating machines. Gordon is so fucking incredibly annoying in this episode!
I am Gordon. I am Gordon. I am Gordon.
Bro, everyone knows who you are! Shut up! Anyway, Dowager Hat is on a platform with a group of children waiting for Thomas. I'm pretty sure that one right there is Bridget, her great-granddaughter.
You are a fine engine, Ferdinand.
But it's very impactful to Ferdinand. Look at him. Her compliments carry a lot of weight.
Aberforth.
In Edward the Hero, Edward finds out that Dowager Hat's luggage went to Maron instead of Maithwaite, so he picks it up and brings it to her. Dowager Hat refers to him as a hero at the end of the episode. Her kind of, shoulder checking Topham is pretty funny in this scene. For us, not for him. In Up, Up, and Away, the one where Thomas and Percy have to pull a balloon on a flatbed, even though they could have just waited to inflate this stupid balloon until they were at the show, and you could feel your brain cells actively dying while watching it because Thomas is so afraid of hurting Percy's feelings that he couldn't be the voice of reason. Yeah, that episode. Pretty sure that Dowager Hat's only line is this one.
My hat!
My hat!
My hat!
What are you doing?
I can't remember exactly where this segment goes, so I'll just put it right here. In a Mr. Perkins segment, we learned that Dowager Hat has a big blue macaw named Beaky. Beaky tries to trick Mr. Perkins into giving him cake and lemonade, so I think it's safe to assume that Dowager Hat likes these things as well. Parrots take a lot of emotional capacity and availability to take care of, and Beaky's pretty well behaved. Trying to trick somebody into giving him what he wants is absolutely a thing that parrots do. So do with that information what you will, because it definitely says something about her.
This isn't fun.
In Stop That Bus, Thomas peer pressures Birdie into going to Misty Island with him instead of waiting for Dowager Hat and her friends. When Thomas charges past Dowager Hat and her friends with Birdie on a flatbed, Dowager Hat is pissed. Also, why is Birdie still friends with Thomas at this point? I really feel like they're only friends because they're coworkers and see each other every day. This right here, I would not be friends with a guy that did this to me. Then when Thomas passed Dowager Hat and her friends again after going to get Harold, he crammed all of them into his cab.
I'd like to have fun.
I keep finding myself genuinely laughing at the sequence of Dowager Hat and her friends cramming into Thomas's cab. It's just so funny, and the still shots I've gotten from this episode are just hilarious. Thomas's driver as his fireman's getting crushed against the cab wall. Lots of meme material. I forgot how funny this episode was, just visually.
Hello, Bertram. What jitters and japes?
Who talks like that? I just think most of her dialogue is absolutely hilarious.
Hold on to your hats. Come along, Bertram.
Sir Topham looks super uncomfortable right here.
What thrills! What spills! What a ride!
So we have learned two things.
I like Misty Island.
And
My mother doesn't like to wait.
I think I prefer the American dub here because Carrie Shale's tone conveys way more urgency.
Hurry, Thomas. My mother doesn't like to wait.
Come along, Bertram.
In season 16's Express Coming Through, Dowager Hat is having a welcome to Sodor party. I wonder if this is when Dowager Hat moved to Sodor, because she definitely did that at some point, and we see her a lot more frequently after this. Thomas scatters Dowager Hat's friends all over the island because he is trying to prove he can do something that he simply cannot. By the time he returns to Knapford, all of her friends were no longer on the train. He completely emptied the train. Completely. Also, what the fuck is this line?
Dowager Hat munched on.
Oh my god. I guess we learned that she can bring down the ultimate wrath, and she likes to eat. You know what, Dowager Hat? Same. Maybe that's why I like her. Also, Thomas called her Sir, which is a little funny. And look at the way she looks at Sir Topham before she tells Thomas to do something. She clearly has her own ideas on how to handle this situation. But she is providing an opportunity for Topham to step in and deal with Thomas before she does it herself.
Thomas, do something!
And she does it herself. And we get something that remains a meme for a long time. It's still going.
Where are the balloons? We must have balloons.
She's mentioned in the next episode, Percy and the Monster of Bredham, as Percy is picking up new tables and chairs for Dowager Hat's house. Okay, this feels like strong enough evidence to support her moving to Sodor, right? They very specifically said Dowager Hat's house. Her house. Not her summer house, not her vacation house, not staying with Topham, just her house.
This isn't fun.
Season 18's Toad's Adventure gives us both a good Toad story and something new about Dowager Hat. Finally! We learn that she was quite the singer. In this case, I think it's up to the audience whether we believe that to be true. And I think that's part of the humor in it, judging by the reaction that Topham has to her offering to sing. They're going to the opera, probably to see Alicia Body, who is the only other person in the entire series to ever refer to Topham as Bertram. Is Alicia Body her sister? Is Alicia Body Sir Topham's sister? It's pretty common for a talented musician to have siblings that also are musicians. Two of my siblings also play the saxophone. Dowager Hat is a little oblivious during the near crash sequence. Topham flying backwards as Thomas moved didn't faze her at all. She just wanted her tea. Then again, she didn't see what was coming. It's also really sweet that Sir Topham jumped up and tried to protect his mother when he thought they were going to crash. And then she just goes back to drinking her tea. Come on, this is why we like Dowager Hat. She's a rich old lady who gives no fucks about anything unless it affects her directly. I also like that Toad was trying to prevent James from getting in trouble with Sir Topham by stepping in and covering for him. And he succeeds in preventing James getting in trouble. And Toad ends up being acknowledged as not only really useful, but also really brave by the one person who supersedes the actual boss. And this compliment carries a ton of weight. Dowager Hat has never said anything like that about any of the engines before. And Thomas knows this. Look how proud he is of Toad.
Oh boy!
In Samson's Scent for Scrap, Sir Topham Hatt has a flat. When the driver is looking for a spare, he suddenly has a look of mild annoyance and says,
Bother! Mother made me take it out to fit more suitcases when we took her on holiday.
Hilarious. She causes problems even when she's not there.
I'm off.
In Millie and the Volcano, Topham and Dowager Hat get the first tour of the Dinosaur Park. I love that Sir Robert knows Dowager Hat would enjoy the park and that it wouldn't be too much for her, but I also love that Sir Topham asks him to make sure it wouldn't be too much for her. He looks genuinely worried here. It just shows that he cares about his mother a lot, even though she constantly undermines his authority in front of the engines. Sir Robert is by far my favorite human character after the Hat family. The Beast of Sodor. Oh yes, good old Henry screams and makes ridiculous faces while doing so, but he's also more brave than Spencer because Spencer's being a little bitch.
Oh.
Also, Sir Topham has a terrible time in this episode.
And if there's one thing I can't stand, it's lateness.
This episode has its issues. Yeah, sure. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about Dowager Hat being an absolute fucking treasure in this episode.
Come on, Thomas.
It really reinforces that she is a force to be reckoned with, and Sir Topham knows that she's going to bring down the wrath on him later for being silly and driving in the snow, and she's going to berate him for being late.
Mother is going to be cross. I just know it.
I love that Topham is consistently shown to be slightly intimidated by her. She doesn't seem to think about the fact that something bad could have happened to Topham, just the fact that he is late.
You're the abominable controller.
I noticed that they copied the audio from the scene with the bullpen for this scene. Listen here. I turned it up a little bit. That's the bull snorting right there.
Oh.
I think it's because they used the same clip of him saying, oh.
Oh.
And just didn't cut it right. She can clearly see that something happened to him and yet still berates him for being late.
Where have you been? You missed our luncheon.
I just want to point out that Topham definitely looks really guilty right here, even though he didn't do anything wrong. Then he apologizes to her.
Sorry, Mother. I ran into a bit of trouble in the snow.
You can tell he's genuinely apologizing, though, because he wasn't able to contact her, so she was probably worried, too. I don't know, there's a lot going on in their dynamic that I don't have availability to do in this video. I want to do another one on it, because it would definitely be interesting to analyze all the times that she undermines him. I would love to hear what she has to say at the dinner table that night. You just know it's gotta be good. In Buckled Tracks and Bumpy Trucks, Dowager Hat gives Sir Topham a safari hat to keep him cool, because black absorbs the heat and it's very hot. This is one of those times where she is unintentionally undermining him in front of the engines and other people.
Better safari than sorry.
This was her only appearance for the episode, but her actions made a big impact on Sir Topham's choices for the rest of the day. Let's go see what he does.
Oh, the indignity.
That's my line.
Also, this is hilarious.
Dear, oh dear.
Huh?
Is Sir Topham having heat stroke symptoms? Or is he just that terrified of his mother?
Topham, don't even think about leaving without your hat.
Huh?
Like I said, highly influential woman.
Oh.
Sir Topham looks at a picture of his mother and feels defeat as he leaves the office while wearing the safari hat. That says so much.
Oh, all right, Mother. Oh.
Episodes that include Dowager Hat tend to be the 3 strikes formula done right. Roast me all you want, but it is possible to do it in a way that's not condescending and actively insulting to the intelligence of the viewer. Because Topham tries to get rid of his hat 3 times, and this episode is great. At the end of the episode, Thomas suggests that perhaps Dowager Hat was right about the white reflecting the heat and helping to keep things cool.
Yes, well, my mother says a lot of things, Thomas.
And Sir Topham says, for once, Mother was right. Very interesting, because that is not what he said when we first meet her.
And my mother, of course, is always right.
And we finally get to the episode. Dowager Hat's biggest and most notable appearance in the series. Dowager Hat's busy day. I have talked about this episode before in my Emily video, which you should totally go check out. I'm actually very proud of it. I know that this video was a work of art because I loved making it, and then I hated making it. Then I loved making it again, and then I hated myself for making it. Sir Topham Hatt shows up way too sick to work, so his mother comes and undermines his authority in front of all the engines and all their crews, and drags him back home.
Huh?
Topham?
It is hilarious. Not only did she undermine him in front of all the engines and all their crew, but he looks completely defeated.
I have a railway to run, Mother. Not with a stinking code like that, you don't.
It's funny though, because it's one of those moments that you feel bad for Topham for getting in trouble with his mother in front of everybody, but she's also right. Like, if you're sick, you should just stay home. Not just for the safety of others, but if you're working, you're not healing. You're not getting better. Emily's face here, where Dowager Hat tells Topham to go home, is absolutely hilarious. She knows exactly where this is going. You can barely see it, but I like the fact that they did that. Just look how defeated he looks.
Take him back home, boys.
But I'm feeling perfectly fine.
Oh no, that's just nasty. Because of Dowager Hat's lack of knowledge on how the railway runs now, and her interference with the schedule, there is absolute chaos, and Emily finally confronts her.
Excuse me?
Hold it. No. Helena, what's the problem?
No one has ever done this before. No one has ever confronted Dowager Hat.
Confusion and delay, and it's all over Sodor.
First, she denies that there's a problem.
Surely not. All the engines are working hard.
But nobody's doing the jobs they need to do.
Then, once she realizes what the problem is, Dowager Hat swallows her pride, admits that she was wrong, and accepts Emily's help. This is huge growth for both characters, honestly. I find this episode interesting on a psychological level, as it kind of implies that Dowager Hat is starting to suffer from mild cognitive decline. From not being able to remember the names of engines she has known for years,
Who's Jeffrey?
to not thinking about how her requests would affect the set schedule of the railway, to prioritizing the decor of the station, to borderline socially inappropriate behavior. Oh, who are we kidding? That's not borderline inappropriate, that's just inappropriate. To having Percy pull the express. This could have all been avoided with just some rational thought, but she was incapable of doing that. She should know better than all of this. That being said, I love this episode so much. Both Dowager Hat and Emily are excellent in this episode, and I could rave about it all day, because I have so many reasons to love it. As a fan, as a woman, as a psychology major, hell, even as a parent, I have a ton of reasons to love this episode. I know that it is silly, and yes, it's a rather standard, somebody does something wrong and then fixes it before they get into trouble episode, and it's also a 3 strikes episode. But the characterization and interactions of Dowager Hat and Emily is so well executed that you don't even think about the fact that this is a double female lead episode. I am not saying that female-led episodes cannot be good. What I'm saying is that a lot of times it's very obvious that they're trying to put out female-led episodes in an attempt to be inclusive. These characters already exist, and it makes sense for them to be interacting with each other. So it feels natural. You don't even notice the inclusivity, because it just makes sense. Unfortunately, Dowager Hat's busy day is her last noteworthy appearance.
Utter tish-tosh.
But she shows up a couple more times. In the intro to Shedward for Edward, Philip asks Edward if he has seen Dowager Hat's new hat. I too like to recognize when chaos has happened. She appears in the first Big World Big Adventures song, Where's Thomas?, to tell Sir Topham not to be ridiculous about where Thomas could be. Trying to knock some sense into him, I guess. In Thomas and the Royal Engine, wait, Why is Sir Topham wearing his hat in the shower? As a mother, of course, she's going to embarrass her son during an important moment by being overbearing. Those of you who are not parents probably don't know this, but the moment that your child is born, you sign a contractual obligation with God, promising God that you will embarrass your child at every important event and every important moment in their lives. I never closely listened to her words here or turned on captions, and oh my god. I am so glad that I did.
Yes, I have everything.
Wait for it.
And have you cleaned your ears?
Oh, Mother. No, stop it. No, I'm fine.
There, told you.
Thank you, Mother.
Why does he have potatoes in his ears? And he just took a shower. Why are there potatoes in his ears after taking a shower? What the fuck? And that is Dowager Hat's last appearance in the series.
Come on, Thomas.
Dowager Hat transformed from a vague force of power to a rather well-developed and dynamic character who is eccentric, intimidating, and a bit of a thrill-seeker. She will bring down the ultimate wrath when necessary, and she is someone you don't want to cross. But she enjoys trying new things, and she is a loving, but overbearing mother to her son. And I think she was such a wonderful addition to the show. It's interesting to see how much she undermines Topham
Come along, Bertram.
by being overbearing and blatantly disrespecting his authority in such an overt way.
Take him back home, boys.
I noticed that the more we see her in the series, the less seriously Sir Topham was portrayed. Scenes that have his mother, Sir Topham is no longer the fat controller. He is Dowager Hat's son.
What are you doing?
She has also overshadowed Lady Hat as a character by quite a lot. Lady Hat is also more of a presence than a real character, but we can discuss that later. So many times when Dowager Hat appears in the CGI series, I laugh. Her voice is silly, and it's different from any of the other Keith Wickham voices I can think of.
You should ensure shellfish with short shelf life.
Dowager Hat has unreasonable expectations. She is out of touch with normal. But this makes her interactions with other people and engines that much funnier because they know that. She doesn't. She tends to address her own concerns before she asks about the well-being or needs of others. And I guess you could say she's a little selfish, but it's never with malicious intent. Personally, I think that selfishness is what gives Dowager Hat the feeling of being an actual character. Like somebody you can imagine being a real person. I really hope that you enjoyed this breakdown of Dowager Hat. This essay was actually a lot of fun for me to write, and I started writing the essay a couple days before I learned about Britt Allcroft passing away. And I felt that since the mother of the Thomas the Tank Engine series had passed, writing about the mother of the engine's fathers, I don't know, I was thinking about parents because I learned about it the day before my dad's birthday, and my dad passed in April of 2020. So sometimes creative outlets are part of the grieving process, and I have cried. I'm sure some of you have cried. I will be okay. You will be okay. Thomas will always be here for us because of Britt Allcroft's love of the Reverend Audrey's Railway series characters. Rest in peace, Britt Allcroft. Thank you for inspiring me to be the person I am today, and for influencing my career and educational choices with the morals and lessons I learned from classic Thomas.
Duck still wonders about the lands beyond the horizon, but I think he knows that sometimes the best travels are those we can only dream about. Don't you?